Financial advisors across Australia are quietly telling their clients to review their superannuation before January 15th. Not next month, not when it's convenient. Now, what most people don't realize is that a series of regulatory changes are coming into effect simultaneously, and the passive approach to super that worked for decades is about to become significantly more expensive. We are on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers to build a community that is aware of these financial shifts. If that resonates with you, hit subscribe. The mistake costing retirees thousands isn't choosing the wrong fund or paying excessive fees. It's the assumption that superannuation remains a set-and-forget investment. That belief, while it may have been reasonable in previous years, is becoming increasingly problematic as the regulatory landscape shifts toward requiring more active engagement. Let me walk you through what's actually changing, because the implications are more significant than the headlines suggest. January 15th, 2026, marks the implementation of several regulatory changes that collectively alter how superannuation operates. These aren't minor administrative updates, they're substantive shifts in compliance, reporting, and member responsibilities. The first change involves stricter superannuation guarantee enforcement. The ATO has upgraded its systems to flag late or missing employer contributions faster than before. Where previously there might have been weeks or months before detection, the new systems operate within days. For workers, this means better protection of their entitlements. For employers still using outdated payroll systems, this creates real compliance risk. What's particularly noteworthy is that the system now catches not just deliberate non-compliance, but also administrative errors that previously would have been quietly corrected. The margin for timing mismatches or system glitches has narrowed considerably. The second change expands the definition of ordinary time earnings. Superannuation must now be paid on a broader range of income, including certain allowances and loadings previously excluded. This particularly benefits casual and shift workers who have historically received lower super relative to their total earnings. For a 25-year-old casual worker, an extra few $100s in annual contributions, compounded over 40 years, translates to meaningful additional retirement savings. Third, there are tighter rules around late and missed contributions. The detection systems work faster, tolerance for delays is reduced, and penalties escalate more quickly for repeat issues. Workers benefit from earlier notification if contributions are missing, but employers face steeper consequences for errors. What I believe represents the most significant shift is the expansion of retirement income strategy rules. Super funds must now provide more detailed guidance on how your super can last throughout retirement. This includes better integration with age pension calculations and more transparent projections about drawdown strategies. This is where the set-and-forget approach becomes genuinely problematic. The system now assumes you're actively reviewing this information, understanding the projections, and making informed decisions. For retirees who check their super once a year or less, this represents a substantial increase in expected engagement. I've looked at some of the guidance documents funds are sending members, and while they're more comprehensive than before, they also assume a level of financial literacy that many retirees may not have. Terms like account-based pension drawdown rates and deemed income calculations appear without always being clearly explained. The intent is transparency, but the execution may overwhelm those already uncertain about their super. Early super access rules are also tightening. There's increased verification of hardship claims and faster detection of repeat access attempts. For people in genuine financial distress, this adds additional steps at a difficult time. The system is becoming more careful about protecting super balances from early withdrawal. Fee and performance transparency has improved with clearer disclosure and better comparison tools. But this transparency only benefits members who actually review the information. If you're not logging into your super account regularly, if you're not comparing your fund's performance against benchmarks, these improvements won't help you make better decisions. The final change introduces more frequent reporting expectations for retirees. There's better integration with Centrelink for age pension assessments, which means your super balance and drawdown amounts affect your pension entitlements more dynamically. The annual update model is being replaced by something closer to continuous reporting. These regulatory changes are occurring alongside economic conditions that add complexity. Australian Retirement Trust and other major funds have indicated they expect potential interest rate movements in 2026. Responding to what economists call persistent inflation, rather than the temporary spike many initially predicted. For retirees with growth-focused portfolios, this means potential balance volatility precisely when they're being asked to engage more actively with their super. Research in behavioral finance consistently shows that people make suboptimal decisions when forced to monitor volatile investments frequently. The temptation to switch to conservative investments during market dips or to adjust drawdown rates based on short-term movements increases when engagement becomes mandatory rather than optional. The regulatory environment itself continues to evolve. What's true about contribution limits, access rules, and pension integration today may change as policy adapts to Australia's aging population. This creates genuine difficulty for long-term planning, yet the system simultaneously expects you to engage in such planning. These changes converge in ways that create real financial risk for unprepared Australians. The simultaneous implementation of multiple regulatory shifts means there's no grace period to adjust gradually. Employers and workers alike are expected to be compliant from day one. Compliance risk sits primarily with employers, but the consequences affect workers. If your employer's payroll system isn't updated correctly, you might experience delayed contributions or compliance flags on your account, even though you've done nothing wrong. The interconnected nature means individual failures cascade through the system. The shift from passive to active engagement is immediate rather than gradual. If you've been checking your super once a year, you'll now receive more frequent communications, more detailed guidance documents, and more expectations that you'll respond to queries and update information promptly. There's limited support infrastructure for people who find this transition difficult. The timing matters too. Making complex financial decisions during periods of market stability is challenging enough. Doing so while balances fluctuate and economic uncertainty persists is considerably harder. Perhaps most concerning is the awareness gap. Many Australians I've spoken with, particularly those in their 60s approaching retirement, have no idea these changes are coming. They're planning based on how super worked in previous years, not how it will work from January 15th onwards. The impact of these changes isn't distributed evenly. Employers with older payroll systems face potential penalties if they haven't updated in time. While large employers typically have dedicated payroll teams, smaller businesses may struggle with the transition. Retirees who haven't engaged closely with their super face the steepest learning curve. For those comfortable with financial concepts and digital interfaces, adapting may be manageable. For those already anxious about money or less confident with technology, this represents a significant new burden. People who might need early access to super in hardship situations will encounter more verification requirements. While this may reduce fraudulent claims, it also creates barriers for legitimate cases. Those with growth-focused portfolios face decision-making during potential volatility. The psychological challenge of watching your balance fluctuate while being told to make active choices about your retirement income shouldn't be underestimated. But there are beneficiaries too. Casual and shift workers will see super paid on broader earnings categories, addressing a long-standing equity issue. Young workers gaining additional contributions early in their careers benefit enormously from compounding over time, and retirees who want clarity and transparency have access to more detailed information than ever before, assuming they have the capacity to use it. This brings us to the core mistake, assuming super can remain a passive investment requiring minimal attention. That approach carries increasing cost in the new regulatory environment. A retiree who doesn't engage with their fund's retirement income guidance might continue drawing down at rates that either deplete their balance prematurely or unnecessarily constrain their lifestyle. Over a 20 or 30-year retirement, suboptimal drawdown rates can mean tens of thousands of dollars in lost income or premature asset depletion. A worker who doesn't verify their employer is complying with expanded earnings definitions might miss contributions they're entitled to. For younger workers especially, missed contributions compound significantly over time. The mistake compounds because each failure to engage creates conditions for the next. If you don't understand the new reporting requirements, you might miss communications from your fund. If you miss communications, you might not update information when your circumstances change. If information isn't current, your age pension integration might be calculated incorrectly. Each step incrementally reduces financial security, but cumulatively, the impact becomes substantial. January 15, 2026 represents a meaningful shift in how superannuation operates in Australia. The passive approach that characterized previous decades is becoming less viable as the system demands more active participation, more frequent monitoring, and more informed decision-making. This doesn't require panic, but it does require adjustment. The cost of maintaining old assumptions in a changed environment is measured in missed opportunities, suboptimal decisions, and gradual erosion of retirement security. Those who adapt to the new reality will navigate these changes successfully. Those who don't will discover the cost of inattention compounds over time, measured not in single dramatic losses, but in the steady accumulation of small disadvantages that total thousands of dollars over a retirement. The question isn't whether these changes will affect you. The question is whether you'll adapt your approach to super before that inattention becomes expensive.